women cheering on women is something that is so critical in business. People give it a bad rap or give women working together a bad rap. And I actually have experienced the opposite. I've had women that have treated me so well.
Hey, this is the Wellness Essentials Podcast. We for short. The We Podcast is all things health and wellness, a place where women like you can come to be their authentic selves and be a part of a community that supports them in their health journey in every stage of life. This is the podcast for engaging health and wellness entertainment with actionable steps you can take into your everyday life.
No topic is off limits when it comes to health and women's lifestyle. Let's face it, being a woman comes with all sorts of fun. Hear real, raw conversations and teachings from experts and everyday women who have been in your shoes, and get inspired to make things happen and have the tools to do so. This is the We Podcast.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patty Post, and I am founder and CEO of Checkable Medical. And this is the Wellness Essentials Podcast, aka We Podcast. There are a lot of podcasts out there, and there's a lot of content. And we came up with the We Podcast because we realized that our vision is to create a podcast that connects with our audience of women, where it's a space that you can be your authentic self, and we are our authentic selves. We're going to create a community that provides an opportunity for you to engage with us that are living out a healthy life, doing all of the things, and in different stages of life. We want to promote women that do hard things. We want to promote women that are going through growing up with children, growing up without children, managing a career, taking on all of the responsibilities that we have as women. And we're going to talk candidly about it. No topic is off limits when it comes to health and when it comes to women's lifestyles. So on this podcast, you're going to hear real, raw conversations and teachings from experts and everyday women who have been in their shoes. We feel they'll be encouraged to make things happen and have the tools to do so. As founder and CEO of Checkable, I am going to introduce you to my amazing team. And I'm so proud to say that I have a team of strong, educated, intelligent, creative women a part of Checkable Medical. First, let me tell you quick about myself and role as a CEO. I founded this company, and I founded this company because I realized that there's a gap in healthcare. I worked in healthcare. I saw everything from brain surgeries to preclinical research to even after medical devices come to market, I sold them to hospitals. But it was as a mother that I experienced the excruciating pain of having to bring my kids in to be checked for strep time and time again. And pleading with my pediatrician, please give me a prescription for an antibiotic. I know the other two have it. I know the third one has it, and I think I have it. And no one else was coming up with an at-home strep test. So I am crazy enough to do it. Thankfully, I have a husband who supports me and let me go on that journey and took along our kids for the ride. And I'm so thankful that 2 years into it, we have a company that we're creating products, we're creating content like this, engaging with the audience of women that really I aspire to be more like, and women I want to be friends with, and women that I think could learn something from us. And I think that what we're doing here is unlike other companies in the market where we're creating products for her and that will help her prevent times of sickness, help her diagnose when you have symptoms, whether that's for herself or her family, and help her optimize health. And then lastly, help her engage and learn more. So that's about me. And personally, I said I have 3 kids. My hobbies, I love anything at the lake. I love water sports. I love going out to eat, kind of a foodie in that way, probably in a little bit too much of a way, because then I stress about how much I weigh, but let's not go there right now. That's for another episode. And I love all things business. It's not work to me. I love all things when it comes to entrepreneurship. So we'll be talking a lot about that, people following their passions, women following their passions, and really pursuing their dreams. With that said, I would love to introduce Erica Dvorak. Erica took a leap of faith and joined Checkable Medical in October of 2019 and was from a crazy corporate world, went home for a little bit with her son, Benton. And then I don't think she knew what she was in for joining a startup. I don't think any of these 3 women knew what they were in for. But first, let's talk about Erica Dvorak. So Erica, please share with us your current role at Checkable Medical, and then tell us some things about your family and your hobbies and your passions.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. And yes, as Patty mentioned, I was in the corporate world and just decided that my family needed to come first. And so I took a little break, and Checkable Medical just kind of serendipitously landed in my lap, which was just such a blessing. And I was, I think, quote unquote, the first employee of Checkable, which was awesome. So almost 2 years ago now, I started as chief of staff. So I was wearing all the hats, learning anything and everything, doing a lot of project management stuff. And then my background is actually in marketing and communications. And so after being here for almost 2 years, just naturally progressed into a marketing role. So I'm now the senior communications strategist at Checkable. And my job is fun. I have just a ton of fun. I get to do social media, the blogs, the podcasts, managing of the podcasts, branding, website, all that kind of fun things. I'm a super creative individual. And just like Patty, I love anything business, super drawn to the entrepreneur world. So just excited to be a part of the company. Personally, I have a husband, Matt, who we've been married for 5 years. And then I have my little boy, Benton, who will be 3 years old soon. And he's just a joy of my life. And I like parenting enough that we're going to be having another one come in January 2022. So super excited for that, getting bigger and bigger by the day. For me, hobbies, passions, I am obsessed with all things health and wellness. And I think that's just where my career has taken me in the healthcare field, is health and wellness. I'm obsessed with it. I actually read health and wellness books, which I know is super weird. Right now I'm reading prenatal nutrition books and trying to figure out how my body works, which is, I know, a little odd, but it's fun for me. I love to travel. I love food. When my husband and I travel, we walk about 5 to 10 miles a day. And if I could do that every day, walk 5 to 10 miles a day and just sightsee, see new cities, do hiking, that is seriously where my happy place is. So I just love being outside and getting to know nature. But I would say first and foremost, number one, core passions, core values are my family, friends, and my faith. And I'm just so blessed to have the life that I do.
Maybe you should be a travel blogger, Erica.
Oh, I've thought about it. I actually created, I think there's a URL out there that I own for some kind of blog that I never started on traveling, but that's all right. That's another day, another dream.
Well, I'm thankful to have you. And I have to say, you are looking very healthy, because the beginning of your pregnancy was a little... It was a little touch and go there. So I'm glad to see you looking so beautiful. You're glowing.
Thank you. Yes. And I would probably say that's all to my prenatal nutrition book that I'm reading. So
nice. We'll have to share that with your reading list. We can update that. Erica's prenatal reading list.
Yep, exactly.
I like it. Well, let's kick it over to Melissa. Melissa was second on board of this group of 3. And Melissa is a dear friend and first started with Checkable relationship as my friend and actually my champion, which is a really cool story. I think women cheering on women is something that is so critical in business. And I think that it happens all the time. People give it a bad rap or give women working together a bad rap. And I actually have experienced the opposite. I've had women that have treated me so well and just have been my champions. And Melissa is one of those where we met on a Zoom call a little over a year now. And I felt like I was best friends with her within 2 minutes on the call. And from there, just really introduced me to her network in Fargo, even hosted a party for me. And I'd only met her in person like twice. I'd come up to visit and she'd be like, come on over for dinner, meet the family. I'm like, who is this lady? She's so nice. Like, it was awesome. And then I come to find out she is quite the extraordinaire when it comes to operations, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to anything brand. I have to say, I did bounce it off of Erica because we have to make sure that a team works, and they clicked right away. So with that said, Melissa, would you please introduce yourself, your role with Checkable, and what you do for your fun and passion and hobbies?
Well, Patty, thank you. What a wonderful introduction. And this has been an incredible journey. Really, I'm Melissa Brandt, and I'm the executive director of brand business and marketing operations at Checkable Medical. I'm a girl from Fargo, North Dakota, really small town, and went to school here, grew up here. And like you said, I love fashion. And really, when you say North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, and fashion in one sentence, it really doesn't sound good. So in college, I sought bigger and better things. So I really wanted to be a career woman and travel the world and basically explored and discovered myself. And I love fashion, I love business, and I love developing teams and meeting people and just building a brand based on those findings. And I got an opportunity to do that with my career path. The last career that I had was basically running a downtown for Fargo. And I said I was never going to move back. But when you get an opportunity and friends and family come first and you move back and you start a family, then you really realize how the word of home is so important. And it feels good in your gut, feels good in your heart. You're surrounded by love. And I really found that when I moved back here. So when I got the opportunity to run and develop and help flourish downtown Fargo, it was an honor. Somebody said, why would you go from fashion to a CEO of downtown? And I said, that's so weird when you ask that. But at the end of the day, it's running a business, developing people, developing a city, and just listening to what people want and what they really want out of life. And it's amazing on how that all is a full circle. And it has developed me as a person and a strong woman today. My passion, my gosh, fashion, obviously, but it really boils down to family and friends. Something that I really didn't understand and appreciate when I was younger. And now in my mid-40s, I cherish every single one of my friends and my family. And I really feel like having a solid core base and people you can talk to and be honest with and no judgment is really key to me and my happiness and my success in life. And I hope to encourage and be a role model for my family. My husband and I have been together almost 10 years. We've been married almost 2, and we have a blended family. He has 3 and I have 1. And I'm hoping one of my goals in life is to be a role model for them and to really bring human kindness and compassion and a positive female that's confident, to really show them an example. Other things I love to do, the lakes. I love to golf. I'm an athlete. I love to travel, and I work out to eat and drink. We entertain a lot. I love to have family over and friends, as Patty mentioned. We like to welcome anybody in our homes. I used to do that when I actually oversaw downtown, is if somebody was curious about Fargo and they were thinking about moving their family here, we would invite them over to our home and give them kind of a tour. Just want to wrap our arms around them and welcome them into community, because if you don't really feel connected to a community, then people leave. And so retention and friends and family and just that basic 101 is so vital and important.
That's exactly how I felt coming up to Fargo, actually. You guys totally just wrapped your arms around us and showed us around Fargo and introduced us to all your lovely friends. And you are the hostess with the mostest.
Well, thank you.
100%. Well, thank you for being a part of Checkable and sharing all of that, Melissa. You're a beautiful person. Let's now go to my last recent hire, Jen Thibodeau Jensen. Well, Jennifer, but we finally call you Jen. And I love it when you actually get an email and someone writes Jennifer. I'm like, oh, they don't really know her. They'll call her Jen soon enough. So Jen came to Checkable after I first learned of Jen through a gentleman that was serving as an advisor for us in 2019. And he said that I needed to reach out for her and then another scientist. But she had just a year into a company that I had worked for. So we worked for the same company, but we never actually worked with each other. But she has an exceptional reputation within industry of being an incredible scientist, but then also project manager, and has the ability to really work with cross-functional teams. And she knows her stuff. So this guy told me to reach out for her. And I said, oh, I'm not getting into any legal trouble, so I'm not going to go down that road. But then 2 years later, interestingly enough, I'm not even sure how we got connected again, but it was a time that we could talk. And I shared with her what Checkable was, and she knew enough about it. And she had worked with someone on our team at her last company. And then you shared the story of your son with strep. And it was like, oh my gosh, she totally gets it. She's a mom of two. My office is in Eden Prairie. She's in Chanhassen. She's a farm girl. Like all of these different things, which I love knowing people's like way back backgrounds. And she shared that in one of our first conversations. We clicked right away as well. And for me, it's like, if we don't click within the first 5 minutes, I'm a gut feel kind of person. And I've learned that that's what you need. And I totally had that gut feel with you, Jen. And it took a few months to get to the right place where we could actually extend an offer. But I think it was the right time, because you are absolutely kicking ass at Checkable, Jen, while managing a family. Your husband works full time and you just are crushing it. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, what you like to do, what you do at Checkable, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Patty, for that introduction. I think I started following Checkable on social media, probably some of Erica's posts back in late 2020. And I just really started it piqued my interest in what you guys were doing and how you were tackling some really interesting healthcare challenges that I, like Patty said, had personally experienced. That disaster of having strep and your child not being able to go to daycare and trying to get into the clinic and trying to get your antibiotics and how many days out of work. And like Patty mentioned, I work full time. My husband worked full time. We don't have family super close. And so it just felt like a really good move. And I met Erica really early on. And we clicked as well. Our husbands are both named Matt. We had preemie little boys as our firstborn. So many funny little connections that we had too. We had a great conversation the first time that we met as well. So I started a little over 2 months ago, I guess, as the Director of Clinical, Regulatory, and Quality at Checkable. That's a lot of hats to wear. In former positions, that would be 3 whole teams, and that all comes under one little person, me, at Checkable, which is, the challenge and some of the fun I'm having at Checkable, getting to wear lots of different hats and experiencing marketing and branding and sides of the business I would have never got to do at a larger company. A little bit about me. I'm a wife, a mom, a scientist. Like Patty said, a former farm girl. I grew up on a grain farm in southern Minnesota that my younger brother is slowly taking over, which is pretty cool. Again, native Minnesotan. I grew up my whole life here. I did escape for 5 years. I moved out to the East Coast in North Carolina, where I went to graduate school. So I did a PhD in chemistry at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I used to be a raging Tar Heel fan. I would say as years have gone past since I've moved from there, I follow them less and less, but I still am a Tar Heel at heart. So I've been married for 11 years. I'm the mom of 2 rambunctious kids. I have a 9-year-old son, Wesley, who is about to go into 3rd grade, and my baby, Farah. She is going into kindergarten in just a couple of weeks, and she asks me every morning, "Is it today, Mom? Is today when the bus is going to pick me up and take me to kindergarten?" So she is so ready and so excited. I played sports in high school. I love staying active. We skied as a family. We swim, we bike, we play tennis, just try to stay active. We have a new puppy, so we're always out trying to burn off some of his extra energy as well. I have similar passions to these other great ladies at Checkable. I love traveling and just really experiencing life with my kids, taking them to new places, introducing them to new foods. Seeing life through the eyes of a kid makes everything fun and interesting. So something as simple as going to a water park or a valley fair or something, a amusement park is like the best day of their life. And, for an adult, it's like, okay, I've been to this before, but seeing it through your kids' eyes is so fun. Those are my passions, and that's a little bit about me.
I really liked how you just put that about seeing it through your kids' eyes, because I've always tried to do that with my kids as being a working mom, but still being a mom, you have this tug and pull all the time of, okay, I'm home. I need time for myself, or I need time for my husband. I need time for my kids. Oh, I've got my job over here. But when you are present, making sure that you are doing it intentionally, that time is intentional. And like when they're really little, like where Erica's at, you've got to sit down on the floor and play with Benton and trucks or whatever that is. It's like, oh, the last thing I want to do when I'm pregnant is sit on the floor and play with trucks. But that's where he's at in life, right? And my older kids that are, one just turned 18, well, he wants to watch Breaking Bad on HBO. And like, I've already watched that season, 6 years ago when it came out. But you know what? I'll watch it again because it's quality time with you. I think as mothers, we have that ability to adapt and be where they are. And I like how you just put that of seeing it through their eyes. That's exactly what it is. All right. Thank you very much for the introductions. I think that I said I have 3 kids. I have Lily, who's 10. I have Topher's, who's 15. And I have Will, who's 18, who's actually at boot camp for the Army. And then I have Andy, who is 43. And we've been married 18 years. And last night was, I think, the 5th time in 18 years that he's actually worked out with me. We went to yoga, hot yoga. At Core Power, I took over 2,000 classes and I taught spinning and kickboxing and step. Like I've always worked out. And this dude, no, like he's athletic, but he has to like be chasing something or tackling or like catching a ball. So doing that was a huge feat for us. And I was so happy in marriage goals. Like, yes, we're like actually living out this marriage goal. So I was very happy about that. And in 2 weeks, we'll be picking up Will from boot camp. So very excited about that.
The team at Checkable Medical is famously fussy about what goes into their bodies. Optimal health at every stage and every age is key to living a life you love. Choose better supplements with superior ingredients in simple, easy-to-absorb formats that fit into your daily life. Feel your best with Checkable Wellness. If you're ready to get started, check out checkablewellness.com for more details. Your healthcare begins at home.
Okay, so let's have a few questions here because we're all healthy and trying to live our best lives, like optimizing our health. And with that said, we go through seasons of what we're focused on, whether that's a season of perimenopause or, as my daughter is, moving into womanhood, we all have these seasons as being a female. And a lot of that comes with how our bodies change. But then we also have, okay, I am on this, I'm going to detox for 2 weeks and I'm not going to do anything. So right now, the season that I am in is I'm not drinking alcohol for an undefined time period because I went to WeFest. It was so fun. I loved it. But all summer, I've kind of been indulging. I give myself too many, like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's a Monday. Yeah, you can have a glass of red wine and then some cheese and then you'll have dinner. And I was getting a little too over the top. I wasn't feeling at my prime. So I decided on that Saturday of WeFest, you know what? I'm not going to drink. I got a lot of stuff to focus on for the company. And emotionally, I'm getting pretty tired because Will being gone has been emotionally draining. And I feel really good. And I'm starting to add yoga. I'm also doing my 10,000 steps a day while Will is gone. So those are some of the things that I am in right now. I don't like to say I'm going to do that until I'm 80. I'm not. I also don't like to say, okay, here's my date, November 15th, because that just doesn't feel right now. It might be July of 2024. Who knows? But the 10,000 steps, the not drinking, and the exercising every day, and being intentional, having some extra time with my husband is something I'm intentional about right now too, because I tend to leave him for the last, and Andrew, my love, deserves more. So that's what I'm working on. Jen, let's start with you. What are you working on? Or what are you mindful of?
It's a great question. We were talking about your stuff. I was thinking about what would I say to this? And I mentioned in my intro that we like to stay really active and our family likes to downhill ski in the winter. We take a big trip to Colorado. So I actually tore my ACL this last April. It was the third time. Being a female athlete, a lot of people can relate to that. I think it's a fairly common injury, but I did it once when I was 20, once when I was about 30, and now I'm in my early 40s. And so I'm dealing with that. I'm rehabbing it. I'm doing PT. I'm figuring out, I haven't had surgery and I'm trying to go not have surgery again for this. And I'm trying to figure out how to stay active with my kids and kind of limp along on this, not 100% knee. So that's my thing I've been dealing with for a few months, and we're getting into a good groove. I had a great physical therapist. So getting back into the groove of working out every day and figuring out what that means for me and how much I can push and what I can do without my big clunky brace. But that's where I am right now. Before that, I was working out every single day and really active. And so now it's just kind of working back up to how I can do that again and what's going to work for me.
That's super mentally draining. Have you had to deal with that at all? Like, holy crap, how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah. I mean, when it first happened, it was really tough to deal with, knowing that I've been through it 2 times before. It wouldn't be my first rodeo. It's a tough surgery. It's a tough rehab to come back from. And I'm not in my 20s anymore. So yeah, mentally it was draining. And it was right around the time I was talking to you, Patty, about moving to Checkable. And I'm thinking my whole life is upside down, right? But then I found a good physical therapist that I really clicked with, and a woman who has helped a lot of other women get back on their feet and gave me some really good pointers and really helped me work mentally through that. Hey, I can do this and I may not have to have surgery, right? That was the big white elephant in the room, right? Always like, oh, I'm going to have surgery again and what that all entails. So I think it was almost mentally as exhausting as physically it was in some ways. But I feel like I'm in a much better place a couple of months later and feeling good about it. And even thinking about maybe skiing this winter, but we'll see.
Oh, I love it. Going after what you love. But yeah, there's some risk there. You don't want to have a re-injury of the re-injury of the re-injury or of the original injury. Navigating the healthcare system is really tough. And sometimes what we think is, I tore my ACL, surgery. But that's where other forms of medicine and therapy exist. And I have had a lot of success with PT as well. And I commend you because it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of discipline to make your appointments and do the exercises at home. And I think it actually should be men listening to this right now, because I think we women, we end up doing these things that require a lot of discipline, and men are like, oh, I'm going to go to PT once and then I'll go back again next week. I'm like, no, it doesn't do anything if you don't do your exercises in between. Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing. Melissa, how about you? What are you working on? What wellness season are you in?
Oh, goodness. I know we want to keep this short and sweet. So I have a laundry list of things that I like to work on. But I think what comes on top of mind right now that's really raw and personal is, being in your mid 40s, really trying to remind yourself of the purpose of life, right? And when I reflect on my life and what I've done and accomplished so far, I go a mile a minute all the time. I am a people pleaser. I'm a fixer. I like to check off my list every single day. I will burn the candle on both ends. My alarm goes off at 5 a.m. every morning. I work out for the most part every single morning. And I feel guilty about it. But really, at the end of the day, when I reflect, it's just I have to remind myself that it's not actually selfish. Self-care is important. And, taking care of yourself, if you're not healthy, if you're not happy, if you're not mentally stable, the people around you suffer. And so that's been really, really hard for me to take and kind of digest and take the ability to step back, maybe turn my phone off, maybe be present, enjoy life a little bit more, because I have not done that for myself in a very long time. So that's really something that I'm trying to focus on the remainder of this year.
Oh, that's so good. Give yourself a hug, right?
Thanks.
I love that. Erica, how about you? All things baby?
Yeah, I was going to say, mine's pretty obvious. I am in a season right now being pregnant. That's a big one, but really it's finding a new balance with health. First off, I want to commend you, Patty, for the not drinking. I actually decided a year ago that I wasn't going to drink, and I had a date, and that date was yesterday, which was super exciting. I did a year free of alcohol, and it's going to be longer now because of the baby, but that's okay. I honestly forgot about the date myself until my best friend texted me and was like, "Isn't your anniversary tomorrow?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So I commend you. You feel really good, and you're able to get a lot done doing that. My health journey right now is just so different. I'm on a journey to actually gain weight because I want to be healthy for my baby. And as we had said before, my first trimester was super, super rough and I wasn't able to eat very much. And as soon as I started integrating better nutrition and was focusing on having a more balanced diet in terms of if people are familiar with the macros, the protein, the fat, and then the carbs. So I've been, focusing on that and just being really tuned in with what I'm putting into my body and how it's reacting and things that my body maybe used to like and doesn't like anymore now being pregnant. And then that goes along with my fitness journey. With my first child, I was doing burpees at 30 weeks pregnant. And with this child, I do Pilates and that's it. And I always said that I wouldn't be that pregnant woman who would be doing Pilates because in my mind, I was thinking that just wasn't enough. And, you need to break a sweat to actually have a good workout. And so I'm just adjusting. I'm in the season where I'm adjusting my focus on what health really means and what my body can do at this stage. Having a baby at 35 years old is no joke. Those that have them in their 40s and 50s, I don't know how you do it because a lot has changed in my body just in the 3 years that I had my last one. So just really focused on a new way of health for this season of my life.
Oh, that is so good. I think my pregnancy, I think of 30 versus I was 23 when I had my first. And I actually loved my pregnancy when I was 30 because I appreciated it more.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew that she was going to be my last one, but I could tell I was slower. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm more tired and I was more achy. And
yep.
So my mom had me at 39 and she always pats herself on the back of you were the surprise I was not expecting. That was not an easy pregnancy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's not easy too. I mean, you already have a little one. And so
right.
You're chasing around a little one. And so, with my first kiddo, I was able to lay on the couch and watch TV when I didn't feel good. And that's not an option anymore. So yeah, but it's all good. All good stuff.
Got to get down on the floor and play with him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Well, this was a great introduction. And I think it really gave the spectrum of the type of personalities and phases of life that we're in. And even though we're 10 years apart in age, but we have blended families to kids that are headed off to college to unborn children. And I think we're going to cover a lot of ground here. Something that is not in this recipe that we're talking right now is we don't have a healthcare provider on. And that's something that with We Podcast is that we want to bring on MDs. We want to bring on thought leaders in the respective space that we'll be covering on each podcast. So I like to talk to doctors. I like to hear that medical side of whatever topic it is. And I hope that it provides content for whatever stage a woman is in. And even, I've always said, even if we just have one woman that listens and walks away with, gosh, I learned something, or that lifted me up, or I'm not alone in this journey. Other women are going through that. That's what this podcast is all about. So I thank you three for being a part of it and getting out of your comfort zone, because it isn't comfortable doing this. But as we move forward, we'll get more comfortable and we'll have fun guests on and create a community for women to come together, and we'll bring out great products at the same time and build the Checkable wellness brand. So with that, thank you so much for joining me. And until next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the We Podcast as much as us. If you want more wellness goodies, head over to the wellnessessentialspodcast.com for show notes, links, and resources mentioned in today's podcast. Remember to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get all the wellness details as soon as they are released. Cheers to living your healthiest and happiest life.